welcome to Biockickz Raw TV. I'm going to delve into this. I've never really talked about it with many people at all. People close to me know this. My close friends, my clients, and Aaron knows that. All right, let's back up. So what spawned this whole thing was I saw a video on Facebook. All right, of all things, fucking Facebook, yay, great. And it was this lady who drove by this homeless guy enough times where she said, I'm fucking tired of this. I want to help this guy. So she went over to talk to him and found out that he suffers from mental illness and couldn't get his meds or stopped taking his meds or whatever the case may be. And because of the way he acted and stuff, his family left him. His mother left him. He was out on his own. And she got him to get back on his meds. She hired him for her restaurant. He works at the restaurant. And she started a GoFundMe page for him that has raised like $35,000 to help this guy get back on track because he does have mental illness. Now, nowadays, there's so many fucking people out there claiming mental illness that really don't have anything wrong with them. I mean, there's a lot of people taking advantage of a system, and it's hard to tell nowadays who's telling the truth and who's not. When you see that homeless guy begging for money, is he really homeless? Is he a guy who just doesn't want to work? You know, it always crosses my mind, like, how do you know they're not lying about these things? You know, so I'm watching the video, and, you know, mental illness is an issue, you know, obviously in our country. And I've seen it firsthand. I actually wasn't there, but my father, who passed away in October, suffered from depression, anxiety, and we're not really sure what else. It wasn't diagnosed. But the depression part itself, and I have anxiety myself. I have natural anxiety, which is what actually led me to use drugs and self-medicate to relieve that anxiety. Now, my father had been developing these symptoms as he got older. They got worse. He didn't want to take medication. And he called them crazy pills. You know, I'm not taking crazy pills. He was very, very stern. He's very old school, very hard-headed, very stand on my own. I don't need pills type thing. And it got to the point where, you know, he would say things like, oh, you know, maybe you would all be better off without me. He would say things like that. And, you know, the reason why I'm telling you guys this is because this, I feel like, affects a lot of people and they don't talk about it. And since I opened up about my drug addiction, about the sexual molestation, since I opened up about those things, it's opened up doors for people that contact me daily, come to see me at these expos that are like, dude, it opened up a whole new fucking door for me. Like, it changed my life because I finally realized I wasn't alone. So, you know, you may be watching this and you may not be the one who has mental illness, but you may be the one like me who had it in your family and had to kind of, you know, watch it unfold. So, you know, my dad was saying keywords and things where my mom had had enough and said, look, we need to get some help, you know, and he agreed to go. So I think he even knew that it was getting, you know, to the point where he needed to get some help. He couldn't do it on his own. They gave him some medication. So he was taking the medication, and many people, when you take the medication for any mental illness, you feel better. You think, I'm better now, I don't need the medicine. So he stopped taking the medicine. And, you know, my mom kind of realized that he was having these symptoms again. It was starting to flare up again. She was like, what the fuck? So she counted his pills, and they were like, there was too many in the bottle. She's like, what the fuck? So she knew he wasn't taking them. So she would take the pills and open them up and dump them in his oatmeal and stir it up and feed him the oatmeal. Well, my knuckleheaded brother, I don't know what the fuck happened over there, had said something like, you know, mom's been putting your fucking crazy pills in your oatmeal. Which he was like, what the fuck? So she didn't let her make his oatmeal anymore. And he was making his own oatmeal. Couldn't get the pills in him. So I get a call, and my mom says, your dad's missing. I said, what do you mean he's missing? She goes, he disappeared. I think in my head, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I live down here, so I don't even, like, there was no arguments, there was no, you know, like, what the fuck? He went to the store and he disappeared. Somebody kidnapped him? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? She said that she came home from the store or whatever it was, grocery shopping or CVS or whatever it was, and the TV was on, his wallet was on the coffee table, his keys were on the coffee table, and he was gone. So, well, where the fuck did he go? She goes, I don't know. So she called my cousin, who was a police officer in that town, and said, here's the deal, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he said, look, he's got to be gone for a certain amount of time before they can consider him a missing persons. We'll look around for him anyways, see if we can find him. Nothing. A couple days go by. Nothing. Nothing. So now I'm like, fuck. And I don't remember if it was kind of like fall, so it wasn't super cold out yet. So I'm like, where the fuck is Dad? Like, he disappeared. Rhode Island's not that big. Somebody had to seen him fucking somewhere. So they started asking people in certain stores. They're like, oh yeah, I saw this guy. He walked by, he walked in here. He didn't buy anything. He just kind of walked in, looked around, and walked out. But they were recognizing him. So they were kind of finding him like a trail of like breadcrumbs left behind. So they're trying to track him down. And they go to the homeless shelter, Traveler's Aid in Providence. And they show him the picture of my dad. And they said, yeah, he was here. And they're like, he's not homeless. He has a home. Like, oh, you know, he said he was homeless. He had no place to stay, so he stayed here. So they're like, what the fuck? Like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. He was totally fine. And all of a sudden now he's staying at a homeless shelter. Like, why is he lying? Like, what the fuck? Like, does he even know what's going on right now? I didn't realize, because I had moved away. And I had been gone so long that I didn't realize. I don't see it day to day. And my mom wouldn't tell me certain things because she doesn't want me to worry. There's nothing I can do down here to help them up there. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me for me to worry. And that's the way my mom always has been. You know, she won't make you worry. She'll leave certain things out of discussions because she doesn't want you to be upset. You know, she's trying to protect you from, you know, the world, you know, the things that are around. So the police finally call in East Providence, Rhode Island. They say they found my dad. He was sleeping behind a dumpster behind a supermarket. I was like, what? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, I don't even understand what the fuck. Like, I'm like, he said that, you know, he doesn't know if he has a family. He thinks he has a family. Like, he was saying things that didn't make any fucking sense. So my mom called my uncle, who incidentally was very touching at his funeral. My uncle's not the most like kind of caring guy that talks about stuff, but came up to me and said, you know what, me and your dad may have had differences throughout the years. He said, but he was one of my best friends. We were friends for over 50 years. My Uncle Richie. So Uncle Richie goes to East Providence and picks him up and drives him home. Didn't really talk much, didn't say much. I wasn't really sure what was going on. He gets home, and my mom said he was just very upset. He kind of knew what was going on, where he was. Didn't really want to talk about what was going on. And, you know, she had to take a shower, get some food in him because he wasn't eating while he was gone. And just get some rest. And he wound up going to the mental institution for a psychiatric evaluation for like 72 hours. And that was the first time I talked to him. You know, I called him over there and I said, hey, how you doing, Dad? And he was like, man, he said, well, I'm hanging in there. And I say that all the time. People, how are you? I'm hanging in there. I get that from my dad. Like, that's his saying, hanging in there. He said, I'm hanging in there, you know, just doing what I can. It's okay. He said, but I tell you, he said, this place is hard to be in. He's like, there's some really intense, crazy people in here. And he's like, I don't want to be here. And I felt so bad. I felt so powerless because at that time that was the best place for him so that they could figure out what was going on, maybe change the meds, figure out what the fuck was going on with him. And he was there for 72 hours. He got out. And when he got home, everything seemed okay. Everything was okay. It was, I wouldn't say fine, but everything was okay. As long as he took that medication, he was okay. And when he didn't take it, you know, my mom could tell when he didn't take it, and she would talk to him like a different way to get him to realize he should probably take it. And then they gave him some medication that was for anxiety, which really helped with the depression too, because when he would get anxious, he would take this medication. I think it was like clonazepam or something like that. It would help him really calm down, and that was pretty much how that went. So, you know, I don't know, guys. You know, there are going to be people watching this right now, and I don't know why I feel I cannot fucking put my finger on why I feel so compelled to share shit about myself, and why, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. I really don't fucking know. All I know is that people not talking about it is getting worse. People not sharing. People not helping other people out. People not going out on a limb and possibly opening themselves up to taking some heat to help someone else out. It's not working. It's not getting better. So this is kind of my way of kind of opening up and letting you guys know that, look, you know, like, Everybody has somebody that has had cancer. Everybody that's had somebody that's had mental illness. Everybody that's had somebody that's been in a fucking car accident. That's, that's had a fucking alcohol or a drug issue. Every single one of you watching this has somebody in your family that's gone through one of those things. And when you're going through it, you feel like you could be you're the most, like, alone person in the fucking planet. Like, there's no one else around who would understand what you're thinking or how you're feeling. And that's how I felt. I got my dad's in a mental institution right now. He thought he was homeless. He disappeared. He basically just up and left the house, like, fucking randomly. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, like, I don't know, what the fuck? Like, where did this come from? And it's mental illness, guys. It's mental illness, and it's real, and it's goes undiagnosed all the time, or goes misdiagnosed, or whatever the case may be. And, a lot of people end up dead before their time because they didn't get the help they needed. So if you guys are out there and you're going through something like this right now, and you're the one watching it, just understand it's hard on them, too. It's hard on you, but it's hard on them going through this too. Wondering who they are, wondering what they're about, what their life is like, who you are when you're looking at them. They may not even know that sometimes. My aunt, my father's sister had dementia at an early age and died early. It ran in his family. Like, people had it. But people had mental illness, not dementia. But, it is what it is, guys. So don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. Don't turn your back on somebody with it. Just because they have something, their actions don't make any sense to you, doesn't mean that they don't actually make sense to them, or they're not really reflecting how they're feeling and thinking, because their reality may not be your reality. And if you just kind of ignore it or push it off, they could end up fucking dead. So it is what it is, guys. Thanks for listening. biowashingtraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biostraining.com to blog. It's the mental illness needs to be fought bicep, and we're out.